Okay, motion number 6 in Mary Freyas' name again. It's the bus gates on Rathmines Road.
Well, I have read the report. I'd read it very quickly. This is about the suggestion that the bus gate on Rathmines Road be 24/7, which I think is quite excessive. It's an issue that an awful lot of various communities in Rathmines are very concerned about. It was probably highlighted more by the people in Grove Park because they are going to find it extremely difficult to access their homes as a result of all of this. And it's essentially the motion is saying there is no great need for, there's a need for a bus gate. There's a need for a bus gate at the very busy times. There's certainly no need for a bus gate at 1 o'clock in the morning. There's no need for a bus gate on Saturday and Sunday. So, you know, it doesn't have to be 24/7. And that is the really important part of this motion, that it's excessive. The report here says that, you know, they can go round by Ranelagh. Well, that's precisely what's happening in Ranelagh at the moment. The various associations are all coming together because they're concerned about the consequences for Ranelagh with the traffic diverting there. The people living in Rathmines are concerned for the survival of the small businesses in Rathmines. I mean, would you come to Rathmines anymore to do your weekly shop if there's such a difficulty of being able to get through? So I think we're going, and Amsterdam, I remember at one stage admitted that they went for an overkill and they have a hell of a lot better public transport than BusConnect is going to give us. So I think we have to be very careful that we don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. And that is essentially what this motion is about, and that I was hoping that my colleagues would support me in the actual motion itself, in saying that we really do need to address the suggestion of 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, bus gate where there can be no movement. How are people going to get to the church? How are funerals going to get? How are weddings going to get? They're going to be completely blocked off. So okay. You know, I think I've made my case. Thanks.
And Feeney?
Thanks very much, Chair. Yeah, I'd like to support Mary in relation to this, or Councillor Freel, particularly in relation to have a review of it based on data modelling. It's a thing that we have been asking the NTA for months and years, the last couple of years since the whole BusConnect project started in 2018. The up-to-date data modelling. And in relation to the 24/7 bus gates, it's a case I've made in relation to Temple Oak Road as well, in terms of what that will do to Terranure village and to the lower Kimmage Road bus gate as well, both of which are suggested to be 24/7. If we're talking in Dublin, I know Dublin City Council don't want to get involved in this, they want to leave it to the NTA or whatever. But if we're talking about having vibrant urban villages, we have to be involved in this. This has impacts for Terranure, Kimmage, Rathgar, Rathmines, all of our urban villages on the west side of Dublin southeast. So I would urge that Dublin City Council would get their hands dirty on this with the NTA, and that our Dáil representatives would also get hugely involved in it over the coming months, because this is very important for our area, and not for commuters but also for the urban villages and residents of our area. Thank you.
Thanks, Tara DC.
Thanks, Chair. Look, I think a lot of us have received representations around the 24/7 bus routes and corridors, so I think that's a concern all over the city. But I'm just wondering, Chair, I had brought a motion forward for our city development plan around increasing that engagement between DCC and the NTA, particularly at a local area committee level, and I was basically poo-pooed and it wasn't even considered. So, you know, we say it's the role of the NTA, and I think Councillor Feeney is right. There clearly is a role for DCC, but I'd like to get a better handle in terms of what that role actually is. My understanding is that meetings take place on a regular basis between the NTA and DCC. I've asked in the past that those meetings be maybe a few of us could attend, that we have a consortium of councillors in attendance there. You know, I'd like to know what's being discussed there. I've never seen any minutes or anything like that. So what is that level of engagement, and how can we influence DCC's piece within that, trying to actually highlight these issues that Councillor Freehill has brought forward?
Thanks, Councillor Deirdre Conroy.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, I did bring it up back in 2019 that we need a working group with the NTA, and all we have is called a Public Transport Subcommittee, which is supposed to be representation from the NTA. And back in June, when I asked what were all of the proposals being put into on board Planola for all of our area that people are up in arms about for 3 years now, the response is they haven't put any applications in yet, that there's pre-consultation with On Board Planola with the Deputy Chief Executive and one of his colleagues. And people are still asking us what is happening about their roads, their side roads, and all of the necessity we need for public transport, and how COVID has changed the traffic congestion, but we need to bring it down even more because it's still people speeding too much, and our 30 kilometers per hour is not happening yet either. So it is massive that we're not getting the information that these 50,000 at least people in the area are all looking for. What can the City Council do to help us on this?
Thanks, Deirdre. Pat Dunn.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, over the last year or so, we've had numerous motions come to this area committee meeting in relation to BusConnect. And I think everybody knows when putting those questions down or motions down that the answer is going to be that this is a matter that the NTA are working on. They've gone through consultation, and my understanding, and I think the understanding of everybody, that we can expect reports to go to On Board Planola so sometime maybe the end of this month or into August at this stage. And that has been stated to us by the NTA. One of the key things that I think needs to be done, and I put it in my submission to the NTA, whatever is agreed in terms of the BusConnect's proposals, whether they're 24/7 bus gates, whether they're just peak hour bus gates, the effects on running and on some residential streets of additional traffic and so forth, that there has to be monitoring of the post-implementation of BusConnects, and that monitoring has to include local communities and indeed ourselves as local public representatives and Dublin City Council Traffic Department. Because if we end up with something that is simply On Board Planola agrees and walk away, or the NTA walks away, well, that's going to be a disaster. But the NTA, Hugh Cregan, has agreed with me verbally that it is their intention that they will have ongoing post-implementation consultation to look at the issues that come up. And I think that's certainly what I support at this stage.
Thanks, Pat. Look, I'm not going to add to this. My only view on this is that, as I've repeatedly said, we have 63 statutory agencies responsible for traffic in Dublin. That's why we have a mess. Until we have a single Dublin Transportation Authority, you know, with some degree of democratic control, we will continue to have all the different agencies fighting in the best interests of the different agencies, very few people fighting in the best interest of the public. That's a structural thing which needs to be reformed, and you know, maybe those in power who are committed to it might actually do it, because that's what we need. Okay, can we agree the motion then?
I think it's just important when we're agreeing this motion that it reads that express serious concern to the NTA and to On Board Planola. Because the City Council will be making presentations to On Board Planola when this comes up. So it's very important that we, the democratic wing of the City Council, actually put that in, I think, at this stage, so that when the traffic department are making their submissions, we have that decision.
We agreed as an amendment. We amend that and agree. Is that okay?
Agreed, Chairman.
Motion number 9.
Agreed.
Councillor Freehill again. Painting of grey paint on yellow lines.
Sorry, I just
Mount Argus Road.
Yeah, well, I hope this is less contentious. Now, the thing is that this is it's actually Mount Argus Road, not Mount Argus Court. And maybe that's going on in Mount Argus Court as well. The interesting thing here is, I mean, at this particular point in the road, we have double yellow lines because it's such a pinch point that it's very difficult for anything to get through, and people have been stuck